Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
I can see your screen.
What about you, Prakriti?
Yes, sir, I can also see the screen.
So if I remember correctly, we have discussed till the ZA part. Is all we have discussed in the previous session. Now we are going to insight into the ZA. What are the components that we are going to discuss? So basically, in this portion, we are going to talk about the library cache. Then in library cache inside, we have a shared SQL area and the PLSQL area that we will talk. We will talk about database dictionary cache and the different result caches. So those we are going to talk into this module. So let me see in the share pool what are the things we have. So this is the magnifying glass. Based on that, you can see the input what we have. So the first thing you can keep into mind whenever we talk about the share pool, there is a couple of things which you need to understand. Why the share pool? What is the use of the share pool and why it's very important? As I said earlier, the share pool is responsible for caching the my program data. What do you mean by that? So inside the my database system within a memory, we have a share pool component which we call SGA, System Global Area. So they are responsible for catch the various type of program data. Like you can see on the screen here, what we have shared SQL area. Got it? As well as we have a PLSQL area. So whenever you are writing the PLSQL program, like procedure, function, triggers, or maybe the SQL statement which you are executing, those will be captured within the my library cache. So that's why we have that. Now you have heard a new word called library cache. As I said, share pool involves almost every operation of your database. Okay. Be it your insert, update, delete, commit, rollback, whatever you do, procedure, function, trigger, anything, the statement which you execute either by SQL or by the PLSQL, that time the share pool will be involved. And that share pool is divided into a small component, which you can see here in the first, which is called share SQL area. So what is the that? But before that, let me talk about the library cache, and then they will come on to shared SQL area. So what is the library cache? Library cache is the share pool memory structure which stores executable SQL and PLSQL code. That means whenever I execute the command within a share pool, those commands which we have executed, that control structure will be stored within the my library cache. SQL command will be stored in the SQL area, and PLSQL command will store in the PLSQL area. Like whenever we are using it, so like you have updated some data, then nobody else can update those data until unless I am not committed. Got it? So that locking mechanism will be also maintained in the library cache. They will handle it. When your SQL statement execute, database will attempt to reuse your previous execution code. Like I have inserted some data or select some data. Now Prakriti also trying to access those data. So first your query will be look into memory within a library cache this statement has executed by someone or not. If they found the statement, they will get the block information from there. So that case disk IO will be reduced, and that's why it's called soft pass. If you remember, we talk about the soft pass and hard pass. But suppose the query was not executed.
Sir,
Yep.
but sir, but what if that data is not latest and there is any update?
Yeah, that's I'm coming. That's I'm coming.
Okay, okay.
So what I said, suppose the data which is here, that is the older one. In this case, they will go for the my to the background process, they will reach to the my data directory. Got it? And from the data directory, they will fetch the data and update this area as well. Got it? And then after updating this, they will send a data to the requester. Got it? So when they are getting data from the disk level, that is the storage part, that is called the hard pass. Got it? But when they got the data within a memory, that is called the short pass. So now you know the two new word, short pass, hard pass. So any
Sir,
previous
can you
executed
explain
code,
again hard pass, soft pass?
yeah. So suppose, Prakriti, you have executed the command select start from imply table. Just example. Now your query will be stored here. Got it? And we will talk later on the data dictionary where like this we are going to talk in a few minutes. So that they will look your query which you executed that will be here. Now the another person like Mayude also try to access the employee table. Maybe the query is different like he asked only employee ID and salary or name that three field. Still data the query will be matching because that table you access block number is there. So they are not going to the read the data from the disk. That information already found. They got it. In your case, first you have executed. Suppose that time data is not there. So with the background process, you reach to the your storage. Got it? So for that, database writer is responsible. The name is called writer. It doesn't mean only it will write. Got it? DBWR, write and read. Got it? So that database writer, the name it's called, they will fetch the data, update to the library cache, put the data dictionary cache, and then send to the requester. In your case, it will be called hard pass. The user who got the data within the memory, that is called soft pass. Is it clear now? Okay, did you understood? Any
Sort of.
previous executed, yeah, please.
सर मतलब
What is
हार्ड पास सॉफ्ट पास जो नॉर्मली मिल जाता है फट से जो पहले वाला रहता है वही सॉफ्ट
मतलब
पास
मेमोरी में जब क्वेरी आप एक्सिक्यूट करते हो तो क्वेरी कहाँ
हाँ
पे होकर के जाएगा? आपके मशीन से डायरेक्ट डिस्क
सर
पे तो नहीं
डेटा
जाएगा
डिक्शनरी
ना?
शेयर्ड पूल में से पहले शेयर्ड
फिर
पूल एसक्यूएल एरिया फिर डेटा डिक्शनरी से ये करेगा एंड देन रिजल्ट भेजेगा ना
ओके, सो शेयर पूल में जो क्वेरी आपका है या नहीं वो चेक करेगा. गॉट इट?
या
नाउ
या
क्वेरी चेक किया, क्वेरी मिल गया
हम्म
तो उसको उसको शॉर्ट पास करते हैं. ठीक है.
ओके ओके गॉट इट सर
अगर क्वेरी यहाँ पे नहीं मिला तो वो जाएगा, डाटा तो लेगा ना. डाटा डिक्शनरी में
यस
डाटा का
यस
ब्लॉक का इन्फॉर्मेशन आएगा कि क्या लिखा हुआ है, वो बात की बात है. बट यहाँ पे क्वेरी है या नहीं ये तो चेक करेगा ना.
यस सर
So if they will not found here, they will look into the disk. From there they will access the data. That is called hard pass. But if it is available here, that is called soft pass.
ओके सर गॉट इट
So any executed query, previously executed query, if they are available in the your SQL pool, so basically in the library cache in the SQL area, then library cache can be shared and database that data can be reused. Got it? They will use reuse the code. That is known as a short pass in the library cache. But suppose the database not available, that in this case they will go application code will access the data from the disk level, which is called library cache hard pass. Okay, so hard pass means the query not found.
Sir, is this only that temporary table space or that is something different?
No, no, it's not a temporary table space. It's a memory area. We have not come into the table space level yet. It's a
Okay, okay,
memory area. Within a
okay.
RAM, did you remember we talked about the instance? Collection of memory and background process is called instance. So
Right.
as of now, we are only in the memory. But suppose data is
Okay,
not there, so they will get from the disk via the background process.
okay, got it.
Now let me talk about another pool which is called reserve pool. Or I can go for here, so it will be very easy for you. Reserve pool. So what is the use of reserve pool? Why we use the reserve pool? So basically, this is the memory area, which is the share pool. Within the share pool that Oracle database can use to allocate large continuous chunk of memory. That means the name itself telling that reserve pool. By default, the share pool have the LRU concept. LRU means least recent used data will be there. Suppose I have a just example 2 GB library cache. Got it? Now, after the 2 GB, anything is coming within the my shared pool. So that will be overwrite. That means the old data will remove, new data will be inserted. That's the standard practice. But some cases, I don't want my data will go out from my memory. Like just example, some critical application where data want to be captured within a memory. So those cases, we can able to keep the result pool. The database will allocate memory from shared pool in the chunk, and chunking allows a large object. Large object means which has taken more than 5 KB to load the cache without require a single continuous area. And this way, database will reduce the possibility of running continuous memory because of fragmentation. And that's why result pool will be used. So in this case, my data will, the query will not going to be passed from this out. After that, let's talk about the other component, which is called data dictionary cache. So what is the data dictionary cache and why we need it? Basically, when you are going to discuss about data dictionary cache, so it stores information about my database object. Object means table, view, sequence, index, procedure, function, trigger, whatever. Those are called object in the database. So the cache, data dictionary cache, will know the row cache because it holds data as a row instead of buffer. Got it? So suppose you retrieve the data structure from employee, the 10 rows has retrieved, those will be captured in the data dictionary cache. Query has stored into this area in library cache, but the data block which has retrieved that rows information will be kept in the data dictionary cache. So that's why we have a data dictionary cache. Another we have server result cache. So the server result cache is the memory pool, okay, within the share pool which hold the result set. That means the data has retrieved, select start from employee. You got the 10 rows output. So those results will be stored with the result cache. So the server result cache contains the SQL query result cache or whatever the PL SQL function, procedure, trigger you are using, their result. So in simple word, you can understand SQL query result cache stores the result of the query which the query has access, which the query has retrieved. Most application benefit for this, you can get a performance improvement. Like they are not going to read the data, update the data dictionary, update the share pool, library cache, and then you will get the data. Those tasks they will save. And that's why always we say to the people, if your server result cache has capturing the more data, that means you are using the better thing. So that way we can use it. Apart from that, there is some other component also like server result cache. We have a SQL query result cache for the SQL query output, PL/SQL for PL/SQL output, those one. Then we have several different others like ILM bitmap table or in queue where the processing and the queue is there, latch before the lock, those, the buffering, those all we will talk it later. But as of now, just understood the ILM information lifecycle management, bitmap table, they are SH for the active session history, they will capture like some query has executed by someone or the some session has done. So those old data will be in the historical table, but active session as of now what you are accessing, those information will be captured in the active session history. So that is a minor memory structure will be there. Then we have a in queue. So in queue, their name itself, as I told you, the in queue are the shared memory structure, got it, which is used for lock the serialized access to database resources. For that purpose we can use. Then we have a latch, which is a low level serialization control mechanism. So basically latch is protecting the lock. So before the lock, latch will be there. So that way it will on. So these are the different component which is available into the shared pool area. Got it? Any doubt, any questions, then feel free to ask. Now let me talk about the other component like large pool, Java pool, stream pool, those things. Yeah, you were saying something.
Till now got it. many things are clear, like how the query is passed. Basically, the shared pool area is responsible for that.
Correct. Then what data query has retrieved? As rows information will be kept in the data dictionary cache. Now, what is the result? That result will be captured within the your server result cache.
So rows information means only like
Like
the attributes, right? Like
no
whatever.
blocks like block number 10 to 20 or block number 19, 55, 66, where row is stored. That is called the row information. Or people also call it a block information.
Okay.
Because data is stored finally where? The block, na? We will talk it in the
Yes.
block, like how the OS block, how the Oracle data block. Then we will talk about a different component over there. So that way you can have a true use. Now, as I said, database buffer cache, it's a part of the your SGA which you can hold a copy of data block, data read from the data file and share by all the current user. Now, let me go and talk about this buffer cache. So here in the buffer cache, you can able to use keep pool, recycle pool, or buffer cache. Those all can be possible. What do you mean by that? See, whenever we talk in the database, we talk about the buffer cache. So buffer cache is the mediator which stores the data from the my retrieved. So in simple terms, if I will tell you, database buffer cache we can call like the memory area within the my SGA which stores the copy of my data block. Which data block? Which is read from the my data files. Now what is the data file? Like whenever you are going to create a database, there will be a couple of mandatory file like the system, CSOC, those two is mandatory. Apart from that, like undo temp that is there. So that's where you can able to use it. And that's where we retrieve the data, that's where we can able to use it. So the first time when the you are going to access the data, data is not there, and accordingly it will be used in the buffer cache. So that's what you can do. So Oracle user process require the particular and then you can get it. Now here we have a small different pool. Got it? Like keep pool, recycle pool, buffer cache, and so on. So what is the meaning of the that? So as I said, the buffer cache will be managed by the complex algorithm, which is called the LRU. LRU means list recent use they capture and the old they will remove. So LRU will help you to ensure the most recently used block should stay within the memory, and that's why the soft pass will be moved. Any database performance depend on the soft pass. If my soft pass is high, hit ratio is high, means my database performance is better. Now let me talk all the small component. So for that I have created here. So default pool. So for the first one is called the buffer cache. Like we have a default pool, like keep pool, recycle pool, similar like as a default pool. What do we mean by the default pool and why we need it? So in simple term, default pool is the location where block are normally cache. Means what? Whenever you are not defining any like the keep pool, recycle pool, these are optional. If you are not defining, automatically it will go to the default pool. And by default, the size of the block size is 8 KB. Got it? So Oracle have the possibility to power 2 concept like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. That way you can use. Got it? So that's why we can able to use and we can get the data. So unless you manually configure the separate pool, default pool is the only available in within your buffer pool. Got it? So if I am not mentioning the keep pool or recycle pool or non-default pool, in this case, only default pool will be there. Got it? Now, the another one you can see, which is called keep pool. So why we need a keep pool? Got it? So in my database, I can keep into the keep pool. So keep pool is basically responsible, like where I don't want my data. So where intent block were accessed frequently, but when A is out of the default pool due to the lack of space, that I don't want to apply. But like I have a one table which is very important, like my sales table that I want to capture in the default pool. Then what happened? My access will happen. Nobody is accessing the cells for the next 30 minutes, and memory is required. That will be lost. Again, the query will process. They will take the disk IO and everything. The hard passing will happen. To avoid that, what I can do, I can create a keep pool. In the keep pool, the rules for LRU will not apply. That means whatever object we are keeping in the keep pool, a specific object in the memory, they will avoid the IO operation, and that's why that data should be always available. That is called keep pool. Similar like the keep
So
pool, we have a recycle
basically,
pool.
if we are
Yeah,
planning for an application, then the data that is static and that is not going to be changed should be placed in the keep pool. Is it correct?
not the change, not the change, not the change. See, change will be there because data we are storing. That means insert update will happen. Am I correct?
Right.
Delete may happen. Now just think about it. You are working for such a department where they have the 4 table. That table is very critical, like your HR department. Generally, in the all the MNCs, like HR department is a very critical. Why? Because they are accessing data, and frequently, if they will not get, they will feel we are not working. Got it? Or like negative impact, like that. So what we do? This example I'm telling. We want that data should be available within the my keep pool. So if they are accessing or not, still their data will be there. So their query, if they are taking the 2 minutes, just example, the one report they are generating attendance, just example, or salary processing, that is taking the 30 minutes, just example. If today it will take 50 minutes due to the hard pass, what happened? They will definitely come to your desk or raise the ticket. That performance issue. But is it really performance issue? No, because my data was not available within the my buffer cache. So due to the LRU that had removed. But now when you are keeping the keep pool, that case my data either you are accessing or not, it should be permanently stored there. That's the keep pool. Did you understand the concept?
Yes, yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
So similar like that keep pool, we have a recycle pool. So recycle pool is intended for the block that are used in frequency. Okay. So like some data I am not accessing very frequently, but I don't want the LRU should be applied on there. In this case also we can keep in the recycle pool. So recycle pool basically prevent a specific object for consuming unnecessary space in the my memory. Got it? Like in a month, some report is generating our work hour or maybe something different. Those are the monthly activity. Why I can keep as a default pool? Got it? No processing, hard processing. So those case I can use the recycle pool. And apart from that, you can able to define in the Oracle database. One is the standard block size, what it which is 8 KB, plus you can use the 4 non-standard block size. What do you mean by that? I mean, I am going to store some data where I want the 2 KB, 2 KB, my information will be stored. If I had 8 KB, which is the default, so what happened? If 2 KB I store, still my block I can't use for the new data. That is used for the update and other purpose, but I can't use for the new purpose. So that is the wastage. So that's why we can use non-default buffer pool as well, like 2 KB, 4 KB, 16 KB, or 32 KB. I can choose as per my choice. Got it? So each non-default block size has its own pool, and Oracle database will manage the block of this pool in the same way as the default pool they will use. So that's why we have a non-default buffer pool. Like here you can say NK buffer cache, or here you can see that way you can able to use. Got it? Like 2 KB, 4 KB, and those are non-default buffer pool we have. Then database a smart flash cache. So what is the flash cache? Basically the flash buffer area or the flash cache. Got it? Which you can see the database smart flash cache. This is the basically the increase the efficiency size of my buffer cache, because here we are adding more main memory. Got it? So flash cache you all know is more faster than the RAM, so it will improve the database performance by having database cache frequently access data stored in the flash memory instead of reading the data from your disk. Got it? So when the database request, the system will first look into database buffer cache. If the data is not found in the buffer cache, then if you have enabled database smart flash cache, so my data will be look into this smart flash cache. But it's optional. If you enable, then you need a flash cache, the flash disk you need, but it does not find the data there. Only that case it will go to the disk storage. Otherwise, if that they will got here, so again disk IO will not happen. So either you can get the data with the default pool, or if they are not found, they will go to the smart flash cache. But this is basically we are using the rack environment. So if you are using the rack like system, real application cluster, in this case we can configure the cache on either on all or none of the instance to the Oracle real application cluster. That way we can use it. Got it? So that's just another
सर
practice. Yeah.
सर जो ये आपने 8K वगैरह जो डिफॉल्ट रखा हुआ है, कितना भी बड़ा सिस्टम होने दो, जैसे आपने लास्ट हमें एक्सप्लेन किया था कि हम जब इंस्टॉलेशन करते तो यू कैन यूज 3 CPUs 4 CPUs एंड समथिंग. सो ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ दिस केबी जो है वो उसके हिसाब से होगा
No,
या ये
no.
बाय डिफॉल्ट 8K 2K
It's a default.
16K
It's a
4K?
default. No.
ओके सर.
So what happened in Oracle database? There is an option. Did you remember when you have created a database with the command line? Like manually you have created database. You are giving db underscore block underscore size equal to some parameter like 8 KB, 4 KB, 2 KB, whatever you want. That is there. But if I am not giving that parameter, so automatically they will take the 8 KB. That's the default one. Okay. So in Oracle database, you can choose any of the one default pool, means like your size, block size, one as a default and 4 as a non-default. That means 4 is the optional. So maybe I need a data which is storing the large amount, I can use for the 8 KB for them. For non-standard, I can use the 2 KB or 4 KB like that. It's my choice. Whenever I'm creating the object, I can say to my object like the table on where it will be stored. Got it?
Yes sir.
Now let me talk a
These
little bit
things
about
would
the
be more clear at the time of installation, I guess.
yes. When you will do this all practically, and that's why I always invest much time into these details, because if you know this one from the day one, I'm telling you, if you know this one, everything you can easily able to handle. All the interview what will ask the questions related to the architect, mostly architect.
Yes, sir. I
What
think
happened in this?
even troubleshooting would become easier if these things are
Definitely. You have a
because there
performance
are
issue.
many terms which I hear now, like flashback buffer and all those things, which I had no idea about. But
That's
probably,
why I'm
yeah,
just
they will
saying
be clear.
these things were not taught in the any institute. If you will go, because they are not using it. See, if I have not used it, I was not able to tell you. What is
Correct.
based on the my experience, we design the things. What is we use the things. Suppose if you are working with a large set, there will be 100 type of issue you will face, and based on that, you will write the solution. Am I correct? As a solution manager database, what is my role? My team is stuck somewhere. I need to give them the solution. Business need a solution. That's why they are paying me. Otherwise, why they will pay me the very high amount? Like as a fresher DBA, they will also do the backup. Arman go backup database. Backup will happen. I will also do the same task. Backup database, backup will happen. Am I correct? Why they will pay the 40 lakh or 44 lakh to me, or why they will pay them the 4 lakh rupees? Just example I'm telling. What idea? Because you know the
Yes.
solutions, you know the same task you can do within a 5 minute, whether the new people will take the maybe the 2 hour, maybe the 4 hour, like that. That's why. Got it. So now let's talk about the LRU. So you all know from the mathematical or the English, it's a very clear list, recent used list. So what basically it is? It contains the pointer to the dirty and non-dirty buffer. Now the one word I said the dirty, another is non-dirty. What do you mean? Like my salary is 5,000. You modified as a 8,000. You have not committed yet. You have not saved it. Data is available still in the memory. So that is called dirty buffer. Clear? Unsaved data, which is not committed, which is available in the memory, not matching with the disk, because disk, my salary is 5,000. Memory, you have updated 10,000. Both are not matching, it is called a dirty buffer. Clear? Now, when dirty buffer will be erased, whenever you commit and data will be moved from here to the disk, that time it will be used. So that's why dirty buffer will be erased when they will transfer to the your disk location. So LRU has hot in and cold in. Cold buffer is the buffer that do not been recently used, and hot buffer is a frequently accessed has been recently used. So if you will go in the interview, I take the trick. I ask what is the cold buffer. Now, in the any of the Oracle documentation book you will find the cold buffer word is not mentioning. Got it? Document is there, but who will reading the 1800 or 2400 or 2800 pages? But generally, people will look at the slide and they go wait. Got it? So basically, the cold buffer is the buffer which has not been recently used, and the hot buffer is a frequently accessed. It has been recently used. So there is nothing like a word I have mentioned. So for your understanding, I put here the cold and hot. Got it? So you can easily understand. But this architecture, everyone is saying because this architecture Oracle has given in the training. So people can easily understand. But each architecture we are going inside. Got it? So that means like the share pool. This is the share pool which Oracle University is providing. And then you have to go for that deeper level. Same way buffer cassette, you have to go inside in the buffer cassette. What are the things? So that is the LRU. Now checkpoint queue. So what is the checkpoint queue? So basically whenever the request will come, now my things are busy for the some activity, so they will come into the checkpoint. So it is in the queue, and that it is coming in within the my flash buffer area. So this is the now another thing which is called flash buffer area. So what is the FBA? So that is the default flash LRU chain, which will keep the flash LRU chain. So without database smart flash cache, when the process try to access the block and block is not exist in the buffer cache, the block will first read from the disk into the memory, which is called physical read. But when in memory buffer cache get full, a buffer will get evicted out of the memory based on the LRU. That mechanism. So that's why database smart flash cache, when they clean the memory buffer, it will be age out. And that's where we can use flash buffer area. Hope now this buffer cache is very clear to you. If any doubt, any question, feel free to ask. So that was the share pool we talked. Then we talked the buffer caches or two component. Now let me go to the third component, dissolve in the memory. We are going to talk about the radio log buffer. So what is the use of the radio log buffer and why we can use it? See, whenever you are working with a database, so there is a changes will happen. Got it? So in the database, change will happen. And those change information will be captured into the log. Got it? So the change will be captured into the log. Got it? So anything which you are going to keep into the changes, those will write into radio log buffer. So the radio log buffer is the place where all changes information will be hold. So that will hold the information about the change which is made within the database. And like my salary is 5,000. So before database writer is going to write, they will request to the log writer, and log writer will say, wait, I need to write the fast. So all changes will be written here from here to the disk. There's a one background process we will talk in later, which is called log writer, that will write. So it contains basically the radio entries that have the information about changes made by the DML or DDL statement. Now we have another pool which is called large pool. So what is the use of large pool and why we have to use the large pool? Again, this large pool is not mandatory, it's optional area. As per your choice, if you want, you can define the large pool. So large pool is the optional memory area. In the database, you can configure for the large memory allocation. Like suppose you are going for the bulk update, you are going to use the admin for the backup and recovery, you want to use EA, so those cases the large pool will come into picture. Let me go within a large pool, we have a small thing. So let me go into details and you can understand how it will work. Now this step, if you can notice, my client has sent a request. So client application send a request. Did you remember we talked about a listener? So listener, listen, Part2 server process, and then dispatcher will come into the picture. So my client request will came, okay. So they have the thing. Now my large pool basically will listen the request. So here we have a UGA, what is it? Which is called user global area. So here you can see user global area. So what is the user global area? But before dispatcher, it will come to request queue, and from request queue, it goes to the response queue. Request queue means who have requested like 100 user, they cannot do the 100 user at a nanosecond. They may take the 1 or 2 seconds. So meanwhile, they can capture within a queue your request after you whose request that will, and then it will go to the response queue, means where they are sending the data after the processing. So that will happen within the my UGA, so which is called user global area. The UGA
Sir,
session
it's
memory. Yeah, please.
सर आपने जो अभी थोड़ी देर पहले एक्सप्लेन किया, लार्ज पूल हमें खुद डिफाइन करना है, राइट?
यस, ऑप्शनल है. अगर हम
ऑप्शनल है.
नहीं करेंगे तो सारा लोड शेयर पूल पे जाएगा, जो पीछे आपने पढ़ा था ना. द इंटायर
जी
लोड
हाँ
विल
सर.
गोज ऑन टू द शेयर पूल.
ओके. एंड लार्ज पूल डिसाइड करने के बाद में फिर ये यूजर पूल जो एरिया आता है, तो वो
यूजर
लार्ज
ग्लोबल
पूल
एरिया.
से ही अपने आप वो
यस
डिवाइड
यस,
करता
करेक्ट
है.
करेक्ट करेक्ट. ये सारा
ओके.
ऑटो होगा. दीज आर द इनसाइड इन द लार्ज पूल. Got it? User global area is there is a formula like 60% memory you will get, 40% the PGA will get, out of the PGA UGA will get, like that type of thing. So basically it's a session memory.
That's why sir when okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so got
Yeah.
it. Got it. As soon as we just logged in into the this Linux and all, we get the shared memory area as an SGA pool, PGA pool, and all the things. Just because of all these reasons.
Yes, correct.
Okay, sir.
So when you
Got
install, even if the Linux or Windows, wherever, the architectures will be the same. But
it. Yeah,
like
architecture would be the same, but
Linux has the
whenever
something
I
extra. Like we talked about the Oracle Linux or the Sun Solaris.
yeah.
Now it's a part of Oracle. For that, they has a separate memory or the kernel like that. Those are the some extra, but mostly 99% is
Yes, sir.
exactly the same.
Because only Windows it directly logged into in as a sys or something. It doesn't give you the extra information. But in Linux we get the all informations also, what it is or not. Or set Torah and something many things are there, na? At that time we get to know about the CG area is how much, PG area is how much, and in Windows we have to type the query, right? So you there? I can't hear you. आई गेस सर ने लेफ्ट कर दिया है.
हाँ नहीं रिज्वाइन किया उन्होंने शायद
Sorry,
कुछ तो
I
इशू
was
होगा.
disconnected.
नो
या
प्रॉब्लम.
या या
Yeah, I was disconnected. Am I audible?
या यू आर ऑडिबल.
यस सर.
Let me share my screen. I did. I was discussing with the last pool. Am I correct?
सर
now-
अगर लार्ज पूल ऑप्शनल है तो फिर लिसनर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ लार्ज पूल, राइट?
No, 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 no. Listener is not part of the last pool.
ओके ओके
Listener is
So
out
this-
of the last pool.
okay okay only the
this is just a
orange
large
area.
pool.
Okay only the orange area is the large pool, right? Free memory user
Yes,
loop.
this is the only the area is the last pool.
Okay got it. I thought the entire diagram is large.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
This I am just sending you like internally when the people are coming for interview, we are asking how your query will be processed. Can you draw a step? Like that's why I put these numbers.
Got it thank you.
Welcome. So now what happened? The user global area is the session memory, which share the server and the Oracle interfaces where transaction interact with the multiple. Then we have a IO buffer area. So this area in the last pool IO buffer area, which is work for the input output operation. So it is like you are using the parallel operation, parallel query, you are using the messaging buffer, you are using the IO server process, those all will use the IO buffer area. And then you have a default insert pool. So default insert pool basically is used the first insert feature which is enabled in high frequent or single row data insert. What do you mean by it? If you have used the mem optimized for write, got it? The sequence new features mem optimized for write, the insert by fast ingest you want to know, that case you can use the default insert pool. Otherwise, this is not. And for that, there is a one background process you will learn, which is called SMCO, a space management coordinator. That background process will write process after 1 MB up, data will come, they will write in every 60 seconds data to the disk. So that way it will use. Now, in simple terms, if I will tell you, the large pool is different from the reserved space in the shared pool. This is the optional, which has the same LRU mechanism like the shared pool. So this is the another memory area where I'm saying I am giving a like a supporter to the shared pool. So instead of all load will be taken by the shared pool, I can use the large pool. Okay. Now let me understand this process in the deep level. So that's why you can clearly get the idea. Now the number one, what you can say, my client. Client could be anything like .NET, Java, PHP, Perl, any application, or maybe your SQL developer, maybe the Toad, maybe the PL SQL developer. So anyone has sent a request to your database. That means the client application send a request to the database instance, and the request received by the dispatcher. You can see here the request will come to the dispatcher. Now the dispatcher places the request on the request queue pool, where within the last pool. So here the first time last pool will be touched into my database within the memory. Now dispatcher request, the request is picked up by the next available shared server process, and that shared server process check the common request queue. Got it? So this is a new request. They will pick up the new request first in first out basis, like whose request will come first, their response they will give the first. So that's why it will come into the response queue. Clear? And based on that, it will process it. After process, the shared server process will come into the picture. Got it? So here, shared server process will get the data. Got it? The data will be get by the shared server process. Shared server process make all the necessary call to the database to complete your task which you have requested, like select or insert or update, whatever. First, the shared server process access your library cache. Do you remember we talked within SGA? So that's why they will go to the library cache, and from there they will check this query has executed by someone or not. So shared server process will access the library cache in share pool, to verify the request item is available or not. Got it? They have the correct privilege or not. Got it? Then share server process access the buffer cache. Why? Few minutes back we talked they will retrieve the data from the buffer cache if they found a query there. And if data is not there, the share server process access the disk. Share process will do both the tasks. If data is there, they will transfer the control to the buffer cache to get the data. If data is not there, they will go to your disk and fetch the data. So different share server process can handle each database call. There could be the n number of the share server process you can able to create within a database. And then request will be the pass the query, fetch the row. If there is a multiple row, so then they will fetch the next row and close the request set, and then they will go to the UGA. So within the UGA contain information about the client session, and they will reserve UGA. Okay, who have requested that? After that, your request will come into the final page here. So place response. So after the request is completed, CSR process place the response on the calling dispatcher response, and there it will be used. And finally, the response will send to the again back to the dispatcher like here. And now dispatcher will send the request back to the requester. So this is the internal process where this large pool will work. Hope you understood the large pool.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let me talk about the other, which is called Java pool. Again, this is the optional. So Java pool is also optional into the Oracle. Why we need a Java pool? So Oracle is made by the Java language. So anything if you are using with the Java related, so for that there is a separate memory area is given, which is called Java pool. So that's a standard practice we use into the Oracle database. If you don't want Java pool, the load will go to the your share pool itself. So to avoid that, we are using. Got it. So this is another area where we can keep into the data within the my Java pool. So Java pool memory is used to store all session specific to Java code. Maybe you can say, why not for .NET, why not for PHP, why not for Perl? Basically, the Oracle language database was created with the help of C++ plus Java. Got it. That's why for Java commands, Java libraries, Java things, the JRE, those all will be given by the Java pool. That's why they have given it. And now it's their own baby. That means Oracle acquired the Sun microsystem. So Java is the now not called Sun Java, it's called Oracle Java. Stream pool. As I told, stream pool will be used only in the case of the streaming purpose. If you remember earlier also we talked like export, import from one machine to another machine for using your hold and get technology. So those case when you are streaming, so basically store buffer queue messaging purpose we can use stream pool. So that's the reason we are using the stream pool. The PGA we already discussed. This is called the program global area. The PGA is the component which will be used for the programming purpose. So in simple terms, if we will talk about a PGA, PGA will listen. So whenever you will go to the database, the first thing will come into the picture, the PGA. If you remember, I told you the PGA will be the memory area which will be given for the user, which is called program global area. And it's a non-shared. So every background process have their own PGA. If you remember, we have discussed this earlier. And within the PGA, we have a UGA, which is called user global area. So PGA is deallocated when associated server background process has complete their task or terminated that case. So PGA. So each user's PGA will be mentioned their SQL area, like what type of the query, so SQL work area they use. They will keep the session memory, where user session data will be captured. Then they have a private SQL area where they hold information about your query which you have executed. And that's why they are getting the data. Otherwise, Prakriti has executed some command, the output will be given to Rajiv, or Rajiv has executed some command, the output will be given to Mayuresh. To avoid that, we have a PGA where user information will be kept, where program global area, and within a PGA we have a UGA which is called user global area where all the users related information will be kept. this query has came from where, who have requested it, those information. They have the stake space. What is the stake space? So basically, a stake space is the memory which is allocated for hold the session variable as well as an array. Then we have a hash area. The hash area is basically used for join purpose. Got it? So this hash area is used for joining. If any type of join you are using, you can use the hash area. We have bitmap merge area. So got it? This area, bitmap area or bitmap merge area. So what is that? So basically, this is the area used to merge data, retrieve for the scan or multiple bitmap index. Those case you can able to use it. Similar way, you have a
So basically, this stack and queues, what we were using in the data structures, it's sorting area is like if too much of data has been over there, and which data should be first sent and then it should be sorted. Is that kind of thing?
it's like who have requested it.
Exactly,
Suppose
that's what I am saying.
yes,
Now, if there
yes,
are multiple users, like multiple instances, example you have given us, like one
mhm.
database, multiple instances, and the PGA is there, then sort area would be something where many users are there and many of them have requested a time. So sorting would be there done between the users, which to be first send and not, is that kind of thing sort area is?
No, 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 no. Sort area is basically like as a users, you have given the some data. Got it? Like you have said,
Okay.
select a start from employee, where employee ID so and so. Now,
Okay.
employee ID so and so, or order by salary, or order by employee name. So these are called sorting. Got it? So data has entire
Okay, got it,
fetch,
sir.
data entire fetch, and then they will
Okay,
filter
okay,
out based
got
on
it.
your condition. That is called sort area.
Okay, means the query is divided between these areas like stack name,
Correct.
space is something different.
Correct.
Sorting is for order by, hash is for joins.
Join purpose. Yes. Correct.
Okay, got it.
So that's where this PGA will work. And now here you can see the all the details with the PGA. So how it will work. So SQL work area, they have sort area, session memory, we have system variable, color pool, then we have a private SQL area. So that's where your client process will communicate by the server process you can get, and then your data is finally reached to the your SQL work area, where the sort area is used for function to order data like order by or group by. Those case you can use sort area. Clear?
So, what is this OLAP?
OLAP is on analytical processing. So if anything like analytical you are doing, so OLAP page will be maintained. So like in the user session, data store, what it like you who have login, what time they have login, what frequently data they have access in the session. So that purpose, the OLAP pool will manage your data page, which is equivalent to your data block. In the share
Okay, so
pool,
got it.
those information will be in data block. Here it is called OLAP database. And that's why multiple page we call as a pool. That's why the name called OLAP pool. Got it? Then we have a private SQL
Yes.
area. Here you can see in the last private SQL area. So private SQL area will hold information about the past SQL statement or the other session specific information for processing, where server have processed your SQL query, your PL/SQL code. Those private SQL area will store bind variable value, and based on that information you can get it. I assume now you understood the PGA as well.
Yes,
That's it.
sir.
Then another thing is called in memory. So in memory is the new into Oracle 12c onwards. That means whenever you want to store infrequent, like the very frequently data you are capturing, instead of you don't want to the disk IO will happen. I want my entire data, entire table can be stored within a memory. Those cases you can use the in memory column. Got it? So in memory column is the instance query response. That means faster query on very large table onto any column. Got it? So in this case, you are not going to disk IO, and that's why the faster for DML operation, it is saying at least 3 to 4 times it is fast. Suppose 30 minutes it is taking. So now you can able to retrieve those data within a 10 minutes. Got it? That's why in memory column will be used. So how they are storing? So basically here you can see if I will enable the in memory, my particular table data instead of row and column format, they store the data into column format. Now whenever the request will come, they will directly get from your memory instead of going to the disk. That's why it's a very fast. That about the in-memory area in the database. So as a DBA, as a developer, you can able to plan, you can able to get the in-memory features. So in-memory area is the optional component. If you want to enable it, that means your table or any partition, those will be stored in the memory as a new format, which is known as column format. Got it? And that format will enable you the scan, join, aggregate performance much faster compared to the disk, because it's in memory. Got it? So that's why the fast response will be there. You can use for the both, for the transaction processing, for data warehouse, and that's what people can use in memory area. So now this is the example we have just showing. So in imply table like orders, we are going to store into like this way order table. So retrieval will be very fast because no disk IO operation will happen, no background process will be used, and you can get the data. Even if entire database you can able to capture within the in memory. Suppose I have a just example I'm saying like 512 GB of RAM in my server, and my database size is 300 GB. I can capture entire database within the memory. Got it? So full database in memory you can able to use. You will get a better performance, high performance, like the huge performance benefit you will get. Full database caching or forcing full database, or if you want a specific table, that can be used. So that way you can do. Later on, we will talk about the background process. Now we are going inside in the background process. So how? Now it should be, I think, very clear to you. User process has started. First, it will reach to the listener. From listener, it will allocate to server process, and then the PGA will be allocated for you. PGA means background process will get the PGA. So each background process will have, or in short term, you can say each session have their own PGA. Within a PGA, we have a UGA, which will be used to read data. Okay. Now these are the some background process, so that we will talk it later. If I remember, Mayuresh has said, Ki Rajiv, if possible, only 1 hour will be good enough for the today. Okay.
Sorry,
Mayuresh,
sorry.
you asked for the only 1 hour, so that's why I'm stopping here.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind even if we continue or anyhow, it's
Then
up to you.
I'm okay. I am okay with that.
So, Pragati, up to you.